Welcome, welcome, Crown Chakra Explorers. I'm so glad you're here. Let's take some time and orient about the crown chakra. Let's find out some basic associations and information about this aspect of consciousness. Wonderful. So first of all, the Sanskrit name is Sahasrara. Sahasrara. Okay, and this means 1,000. And just again, point of a reference and context that when the chakras are named, hundreds, perhaps thousands of years ago. Okay, 1,000 was an enormous number. The notion, right, is that this is the 1,000-petaled lotus here at the crown chakra at Sahasrara. And, really this implies, as we get to when we explore the number of petals, just an infinite number of petals. And comparatively, we've been at the other chakras, right? The number of petals has been, relatively small, right? 4, right? 10, 12, even 16, right? Here at the throat chakra. That's the most that we've encountered. So 1,000, kind of like an exponential jump. Right? And again, this kind of implies or starts to express the energies of this chakra, exploring the infinite, exploring the exponential, the taking that quantum leap into the next level. All of these things are what's accessible at this aspect of consciousness at Sahasrara. Okay, the element here is thought. All right, we went from earth to water to fire to air to akasha and vibration to light. Okay, and now here we are at thought. Right, the kind of horizon of our believing and just knocking on the door of pure possibility. Right? What is possible? And exploring that here at the crown chakra and exploring what we think is possible and going beyond, right? Allowing ourselves to go beyond what we think. And we just started to tap into this at the third eye. Right? We accessed that inner navigational tool of Ajna chakra to navigate, right, into this realm of the beyond, the inner realm, right? To really start to explore what is possible within us. And we're continuing that and really getting to the edge, right, of our thinking, getting beyond thought, beyond language, and learning to stay there, right, to meditate there, and be there. Okay, the color is violet, as you can see right here. The number of petals, like I said, is infinite. Right? This notion of the 1,000-petaled lotus really implying that it just goes on and on. This is the ever-blooming lotus of the crown chakra. The verb here at Sahasrara is I believe, and also I am. Exploring, right, this notion of the self, right, and again transcending this horizon of individual, right? I am, right, this body, right, and exploring beyond that, as we have been in these upper chakras, getting into more of the non-physical aspects of consciousness, and even more so here at the crown. Exploring this sense of self that is transcendent, that is all. Right? And engaging in that sense of I am one, right? Not just one, this individual, but one meaning all. Okay, and believing, right? I believe. We'll get into that a bit with our homework and some of the midway meditation work. But this is one of the things we want to explore. It's our belief systems and glass ceilings, and becoming aware of these things and the limitations of our thoughts, and how we can ever be growing and expanding in our thoughts and into thoughtlessness, into an experience of being that is beyond all of our preconceived beliefs and languages and systems, and experience that and experience ourselves as that. The body parts that we are addressing here at the crown chakra is the head, the skull, the brain. The gland is the pituitary gland. All right, so pituitary gland is known as what we call the master gland. And it kind of coordinates, synchronizes all the other glands in the system. Similarly, right, the crown chakra has a similar role. It kind of monitors and regulates all of the other chakras into a whole. Okay, what's interesting about the crown chakra, if you think of the chakra system as like a puzzle, right, and you were putting all the puzzle pieces, into place, and starting at the root, and then the sacral, and then the navel, and then the heart, and then the throat, and then the third eye, and then, okay, we get up here at the crown, and again, crown is its own puzzle piece, right? Its own color, it's violet, right? Just as all the other chakras are. But when we put that crown chakra piece into place, right, it's its own thing, and it lights up the whole. It's the final puzzle piece. It's the full spectrum of light that we are, not just one aspect of the light, but the totality. And then we see that in the consciousness of this chakra that we're exploring and activating. Infinity consciousness. What is that? What does that mean? Can we even conceive of infinity? Right? This is what I mean by beyond thought. We can talk about infinity, we can think about infinity, but really it's stretching, right, our body, mind, spirit, our self to really explore that aspect of consciousness. Totality, oneness. Okay, really, really, again, not just as words, not even as concepts, but as an experience. Right? Have we explored that aspect of consciousness where we feel, connected and unified with everything else? Unity, non-duality, okay, as we have been exploring the duality and the nature, the dualistic nature of our experience all throughout the chakra system, right? The Ida and the Pingala, and the kind of weaving together, and the balance of these magnetic and electric, masculine, feminine, light, dark, front, back, all of these kind of polarities. If you remember, at the third eye chakra, Ida and Pingala came together, and they stay together. Right? They stay together in this last step journey up the Sushumna to the crown. So we're not really thinking dualistically anymore. We are really practicing and engaging in a unified experience. Right? What's it like to really feel a union, right, with yourself? Okay, practicing that, and also with everything that you have imagined that you are separate from and distinct from. All of a sudden we are leaving that behind and exploring something radically different. Radical shifts in consciousness occur at each chakra, and crown chakra is no different. So also we have this sense, right, of integration. Okay, that all these differences, all these different parts of ourselves and the differences reflected in the outer world, they are now, right, in our practice, in our experience, being integrated into a whole. And we are doing that in our practice, working to integrate things that we have, previously regarded as outside, or, kind of not of us. That's the practice. Timelessness. Okay, again, transcending this notion of time, and particularly with the pranayama that we will be practicing here at Sahasrara Chakra, the breath suspension. Again, we're no longer doing the inhale and the exhale as most of the pranayamas, right, that we've been practicing so far. Now we're suspending the breath. Okay, and that allows us to access possibilities in that breath suspension that we have not previously explored. So timelessness being one of them, and transcendence, transcending again these concepts, these belief systems, these ways of seeing and being, and moving beyond them, transcending, exploring other possibilities. And then finally, possibility. That's really what crown chakra is about. What is possible? All right, let's do it.